Hi, in this series of videos we're going to be looking at GCSE Maths walkthrough. Each of the playlists is going to be about 4 or 5 videos. Each video will be about 20 minutes long. Please do stop the video, have a go at each of the questions and then compare your solutions. If you do need any help, please add a comment below. I'll always come back to you. I look forward to seeing you inside the next video. Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at the November 2018 Edexcel Paper 1 for the higher tier. As I mentioned, please do stop the video, have a go at each of the questions and then compare your solutions. I'm going to aim for this video to be about 20 minutes or so, and it should give you about an hour's worth of fairly focused revision. Okay, so let's have a look at this one then, and it's a fairly straightforward indices question where we've got 3 to the power of 7 times 3 to the power of minus 2. Well, we add the indices together. If we add the indices together, what we're going to get is going to be 3 to the power of 5. Okay, that's going to be divided by 3 to the power of 3. We subtract the indices, 3 squared. So 3 squared is 9. So the answer for this particular first question is going to be 9. Hopefully that's okay for you. All right, let's move on to question number 2. And what we've got to question number 2 is working out the value of V. Well, that's okay, except you're just going to be a little bit careful with this negative sign because it's going to have an impact. So when I write this out, I'm just kind of mindful I've got a minus in there. So I'm looking at substituting V squared equals U squared plus 2AS. U is okay, that's going to be 12 squared plus 2. Brackets minus 3, brackets 18. Okay, well, 12 squares is 144, but my problem is going to come about where I've got 2 times minus 3, which is minus 6, and then minus 6 times 18. Well, it means then that I'm going to have a negative result. So let's just work out the actual calculation. Now, you might do this slightly differently to me. I would just do 18 times 6 and I'd get 108. So it's going to be minus 108. Now, that means that V squared equals 36, okay? And the square root of 36 is actually plus or minus 6. So V is going to equal plus or minus 6. V equals plus or minus 6. And that would get you the full 2 marks for that question. Okay, then the second part of it is make S the subject. So I'll just move this up a little bit. Okay, S the subject. Well, at the moment, my problem is that I've got 2AS. I've also got U squared in the wrong place, and I need to make S the subjects. Therefore, firstly, I've got to get rid of the U squared. I'm going to do that by minusing U squared from both sides. So that and that cancel, and I get V squared minus U squared equals 2AS. I'm going to then divide by 2A both sides. Okay, that and that go. I get S on its own, which is exactly what I want, and I've got V squared minus U squared divided by 2A. Now remember, it's the whole thing divided by 2A, so you need to write that as a fraction. When you're putting your answer down, if you prefer to put it as reading left to right, so S equals V squared minus U squared over 2A, that's perfectly fine, no problems at all. Okay, hope that's all right. Let's move on then to question number 3. And question number 3 deals with some salesmen getting some bonuses. It's quite a wordy question, takes a little bit of wading through, but it's not too bad really. What we're going to do is take it a little bit at a time. So at the moment, I've got a bonus of 2,100 is shared by 10 people who work for a company. Then it says 40% of the bonus is shared equally between 3 managers. Well, let's have a look at that then. Okay, that's the most important thing, at least at the moment. So what I need to do is I need to work out that 40% of 2,100. Well, the way I would do it is I would do 210, which is 10%, multiplied by 4, which is going to give me 40%, or £840. So I know that the 3 managers are going to share equally the £840. Okay, then it says the rest of the bonus is shared equally between 7 salesmen. Well, let's have a look at what that means. So effectively, it's going to be 2,100 take away the 840 we've already spent. So if you like, the salesman bonus is going to be 2,100 minus 840. So that's going to give us 1,260. And obviously, I'm very aware your calculations might be slightly different to mine, but hopefully we still come up with the same answer. Okay, so then it says, one of the salesmen says, if the bonus is shared equally between all 10 people, I will get 25% more money. Well, let's see how much money he gets already. So if he's sharing equally of £1,260, he's going to get one salesman, okay, is going to get a seventh of 1,260, which is going to give him £180. So it's £180 for one salesman. Okay, so if it was shared equally, in other words, the 2,100 was shared amongst the whole 10 people, so if it's shared equally, it would basically mean that each would get £210. So the salesman is saying, if the bonus is shared equally, £210, I would get 25% more money. Well, okay, let's have a look at that. You would actually get £30 more, okay? So if it's £30 more, what we're basically saying is that 25%? Okay, and the way to look at that would be percentage increase. Okay, now the way we do percentage increase is we say it's the difference divided by the original multiplied by 100. Okay, so I'm just going to plug some numbers into there. Well, we've already said the difference is going to be £30. The original was 180. In other words, what he got originally is 180. I'm going to multiply that by 100 to get the percentage. Okay, now actually it works out at 16.6%. Okay, so the short answer is the salesman is not correct. He's going to get 16% more money. Okay, not 25%. Okay, I hope that's okay for you. A little bit wordy, takes a bit of working through, but you know, it's one of those questions where it's valued at 5 marks, so you can actually gain some quite good marks from that. Okay, number 4 is going to be a similar sort of idea, where it's lots of words, but you know, once we've kind of got our way through it, you should be able to make some fairly good marks from this. It's a 3 marker. Okay, so it takes 120 minutes to fill a swimming pool using water from 5 taps. Okay, how many minutes will it take to fill a pool if only 3 of the taps are used? All right. The key issue with this is that while it says 120 minutes to fill a swimming pool using water from 5 taps, what we've got to do is figure out how many minutes it would take for 1 tap. So it's going to be 5 times as long. So 120 times 5 is 600. So if it was 1 tap, it would take 600 minutes for 1 tap. Okay, so it takes 600 minutes for 1 tap, and we're interested in how long it would take for 3 taps to be used. It's going to be 3 into 600, so it's going to take 200 minutes, and that would be the answer to that particular question. Okay, then it says, and this is one of those 1 mark kind of filler questions that they tend to put in. It says, state one assumption you made in working out your answer. Well, hopefully you can tell from this that all the taps need to flow at the same rate. Okay. And that would be the assumption that you'd make, that all the taps are sending the same amount of water through them. Okay, let's have a look then at question number 5. We're about halfway through this particular video. Please do, again, stop the video, have a go at each of the questions, and then compare your solution. So it says a plane travels at a speed of 213 miles per hour. It says work out an estimate. So the key issue here is this word estimate, because 213 miles is kind of difficult to work with. So let's change it. Let's make it 200, which is a reasonably good estimate. Okay, so what we want to do is figure out the number of seconds the plane takes to travel 1 mile. Well, let's work out how long it takes, or we could write down 200 miles per hour is going to be equal to 1 hour. Okay, so the plane travels 200 miles in 1 hour, and 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. So we can say 200 equals 60 minutes. Okay, and then really we need to kind of go from there and sort of gradually work our way through to figuring out how many seconds it takes to travel 1 mile. So what I'm going to do is going to say, well, actually there's 3,600 seconds, okay, in this 60 minutes. So that's 3,600 seconds in, and that takes 200 miles in 3,600. So if I want to work out 1 mile, then basically I've got to divide by 200 to get 1 mile. Okay, which means I've got 3,600 divided by 200. Okay, looks a little bit daunting, but actually it's not too bad, because effectively you can divide through by 100. So that's going to give me 36 over 2, then divide by 2, which is going to give me 18 seconds. Okay, so it would take 18 seconds to travel 1 mile. Okay, hopefully that's all right for you. And then again, another filler question right at the bottom, but very bottom. It says, is it an underestimate or an overestimate? Well, it's an underestimate because we rounded down. Okay, so it's an underestimate. And if you want, you can say because rounded to 200, not 213. So we actually counted that as being slightly slower than the plane would go, so therefore it would be an underestimate. Okay, so let's have a look then at the next one, which is very, very popular questions, and these questions deal with simultaneous equations. It says solve the simultaneous equations. Okay, now it doesn't give you a particular method. The one I'm going to use is the most popular one for these types of equations, which is elimination. Now, looking at it, I can see I've got 5x and x, and I've got y and 3y. Well, fairly easy for me to just multiply through by 3, because if I do that, then it means I've got 3y and 3y there. And if I add the two together, I'm going to get rid of them. And that's fine, and that's a fairly common method with these sorts of questions. Okay, so I'm going to multiply through by 3. That means that the top equation is going to be 15x plus 3y equals 63, and that would be the top equation. The bottom equation is going to stay exactly the same, so that's going to be x minus 3y equals 9. Okay, now in order for me to get rid of the 3y's, if I add these equations together, I end up with 3y plus minus 3y. Well, that's the same as saying 3y minus 3y, so it's a 0. But it also means that I can then get rid of the y's and just isolate and concentrate on the x's. So that's going to be 16x equals 63 plus 9 is going to be 72. Okay, now, again, we're just got to be a little bit careful to kind of figure out the value of x. So what I would do at the side is I would say something like x equals 72 over 16, which I can reduce to 36 over 8. which I could also reduce if I wanted to 18 over 4, and I can go to 9 over 2. Now, you might make some jumps, okay, but basically I want to get that value of x as being equal to 4.5, which is the answer to that particular value. Okay, so I appreciate some people might do long division. I tend to do equivalent fractions if I can, just because I find it easier, sort of the way I was taught. Okay, so then we need to find out the value of y, and the way we're going to do that is substitute the value of x into the first or the second equation. Doesn't really matter. I tend to prefer, in this particular case, the first equation because it's a positive value. I think if you've got negative values, you just need to be a little bit cautious about using those. It's entirely up to you, of course, doesn't really make any difference, but for me, I prefer positive values if I can. So rather than writing 5x plus y equals 21, I'm going to write 5 times 4.5 plus y equals 21. Okay, now 5 times 4.5, well, I happen to know that is going to be 22.5. plus y equals 21. I need to minus 22.5 from both sides, so I get y equals minus 1.5, and that would be my second value. Now, if you've got time, then it's always worthwhile coming back to these sorts of questions and just substitute in those values and make sure that when you do 5 lots of x, minus 1.5, you get 21, and also with the other one, x minus 3y equals 9. So it's kind of worthwhile just checking these things, that x is 4.5 and y is minus 1.5. Okay, no problem at all. We're about 15 minutes into the video, so we'll have a go at the next one and see how far we get with it. And as I say, I'm going to aim for about 20 minutes or so to give you a good focused revision time. So let's move on then to question number 7. Okay, question number 7. I've got a diagram shows a square with sides of length 20 centimeters. Okay, so what I'm thinking is that actually if this is 20 centimeters and this is 20 centimeters, then the area of the square must be 400. So that's that bit at the bottom dealt with. The biggest problem I'm going to have is working out the area of the shaded region. Okay, well, let's have a look at how we can do that. Well, the area of a circle is pi r squared. So what we've got with this large circle here, and that's this big circle here, this quarter circle, is going to be a quarter of pi r squared. Okay, that's the biggest part of the circle. Okay, or the big bit. And then what I've got to do is take away this small piece here. And when I've done that, I'm left with just the grey bit. Well, that is a semicircle, which is going to be minus a half pi r squared. And then really it's just a case of plugging the numbers in. So let's have a look at how we can do that. Well, we're going to have a quarter pi, and the radius of the large semicircle is going to be 20, and it's going to be then 20 squared, minus a half pi, and the radius of this small semicircle is going to be 10, so it's going to be 10 squared. Okay, so the numbers are looking kind of promising for me at the moment. I just need to be able to kind of work them through to get them to finally get to being pi over 8, which is what the question is asking us to do. Okay, so let's have a look at them multiplying out these numbers. So I've got a quarter pi, and 20 squared is 400. Well, that's great, because a quarter of 400 is 100. So this bit is going to be 100 pi. Okay, happy with that? That looks really good to me, no problem. Okay, same with the next one. I've got a half pi, and that's going to be 100, because 10 squared is 100. Well, that's going to be 50 pi, isn't it? So that's working out very well. Okay, so what I end up with now is going to be this, which is the area of the shaded region, is going to be equal to 50 pi over 400. Okay, so that's easy enough to simplify. 50 goes into 400 8 times, so I can put that as 1, put that as 8, which is therefore going to be pi over 8. And that would be the answer to this particular question. Okay, so it looked a little bit tricky to begin with, but not a bad question. Now that takes us actually through to the full 20 minutes. So I'm actually going to leave at this particular point. We've then completed through to question number 7. We'll start in the next video from question number 8 onwards. Please do add a comment below. If you're not sure about anything, I'll always come back to you. I'll look forward to seeing you inside the next video.